but it will be published and it will be acknowledged widely in the society and give the bad publish to themselves without knowing it. This because of the social media. The people just share the knowledge, and we saw that the IP, the intellectual property, will be the big problem. Because we sometimes when we develop our products, our services, and we have to take good care of the patents, because we sometimes we are not aware that it is the patent already patented by somebody else, and so we look at the growth, look at the change as our great opportunities, but at the same time it's bring more threats. So we have to think about how to educate the business operators so they can be aware of the internet and how they can leverage and make full use of the internet for their growth. And thank you very much. So I would like to give my report about my session. Some of the sessions that Mr. Pascon might miss. The first one during this morning, we talked about the free trade, and we discussed about different laws and regulations and how it might affect the internet growth. Internet development, and in that session, overall, the panelists agree that the free trade will have certain impacts on us, and we think that for the negotiation there is no people engagement. So basically, at the high level, they just negotiate the free trade behind the closed door without listening to the lay people, the civil society organizations, and farmers and everything. And there is a Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's the one of the free trade agreement, the TAP, and one of the provision will be related to the IP, and it might send some impacts to our IP laws, and we have to amend our IP and copyright laws accordingly. And basically, everybody would love to have the free trade. But at the same time, we would like to have a free flow of thoughts. Everybody can think openly. And we also have another session. We have the 4 panelists, one from Chiang Mai, one from Taiwan, and one from India, and another one from EGA. And the panelists share different experiences. The most important issues was that we need more open information from the public. We need more public information available to the private sector. And for instance, one of the examples related to how to handle the pandemic, the widespread of the new diseases. So on the newspapers, we saw different number of the patients in different locations, but basically we heard different data sets and how those kind of information from different data sets can merge, and so we can show us can be further analyzed whether that kind of diseases came from airborne or waterborne, and at any locations in particular. And those 2 sessions, there is some common theme though. It is one of the common aspect is that we use the underlying internet technology that empower us, but then again we haven't arrived at the kind of internet voting yet. And in Thailand, we try to move away from what they say the democratic approach in Thailand. Somebody mentioned that we just vote one time and never do any democratic processes again. And we have a large number of experts work for the government agencies, but at the same time we have more number of experts work in the private sector and in and other organizations. So if we would love to see the better services from the government, we love to see if even we very require more services, but we require them to be smaller. We need smaller government. But I think that for the physical services, I think we have sufficient of that. But we really need a certain changes to our legal framework. For instance, for the Thai Information Act, we really need the government agencies to comply with the Open Information Act. The people would love to get the PDF file. The PDF file that can be utilized further, not only just scan and put up on the web and we just download and we cannot make any use of it because it's a different kind of the PDF file. Another common thing is that we still lack of the kind of data infrastructure. I believe from those sessions it shows that the private sector still are in need of the relevant data, relevant information for them to make decision and make full use. And the third one is that in different areas, in particular the public sector, they need to change their mindset. They have to change their paradigm. Also, sometimes they create certain government services, but they have to think into the kind of PPP the private sector can support the government.
There has been another session. It's about smart service, about sizing. We don't need to expand our organization, but we can do some kind of outsource, like process as a service through internet. Like the patient need not travel, we can use such capacity. Like the very good doctor in Bangkok can do teleconference to take care of the patient in the remote area. I want to add that in this session we were quite lucky. We had exchanged the samples, like our neighboring countries, like they have open data project. So we had a participant from Cambodia and Indonesia now, and also like in Singapore they had already started program, but in Cambodia they are thinking about that. For those who want to add, please wait for the second round. Actually, there has been 2 sessions that were not summarized. I just want to simply summarize from. I would like to report in Thai. The first one is workshop, my internet workshop, and second is building sustainable internet system and integrated approach. What should be the language? Okay, I'll talk in Thai.
The 2 sessions this morning that I am responsible. The first one is my internet workshop. Actually, I can conclude that it's built up on different aspects we heard. Internet provide us with the opportunities for us to work on many aspects and to get benefit from different areas. But from what you heard from the experts, we may have the questions whether we do have the power to create, like our theme. The internet is our tool, and it is related to the United Nations. The United Nations, the expert mentioned that the UN already introduced the national new way of calculating the national account. So how to calculate the intangible assets, the IP, the intellectual properties. So in the future, we will have more competitions, but the competitions will be on the IP. But the IP will bring about all the innovations and new areas of opportunities. For the other point, the innovations in other areas, it will not be the physical goods or products, but for instance, it is mentioned at one point about the 3D printing. The 3D data, the design 3D data can be sent through the internet, and it will be printed out in other countries. And this kind of thing, that there is a different layers of value chain that can be measured and can be calculated. And this is related to all the IP products that have been produced at different layers. And another point, for the technology, for instance, we heard from the Thai Industry Federation, since we have a less and less number of the middleman, and if we at this point we have the kind of web ID to facilitate the business transaction, we will know right away, but that we are working with the middleman or we are working directly to any particular business. And we also have the new approach about the internet payment. The transaction will be completed without went through different layers of the middleman. At one point, the concept of the Creative Commons have been pinpointed. So, and the Creative Commons will be valuable for the person who create the idea or build the idea on top, and still can get a certain ownership and get the license. At another session, we have the panelists discussing about the ecosystem, the internet ecosystem, different elements of the internet ecosystem, and it is identified that we lack of the network operators in Thailand, and we still have a lack of human resource and everything. And but how we are going to achieve that, we have to take into account different aspects. We have to factor in the costs, the investments for the accessibility of everybody. And on the business sector, right now the business models are changing, and most of the old models are relevant. And we have the new approach to calculate the national accounts on the software and on the soft infrastructures. We do not have the network operators associations, and these kinds of association can be a driving force. And then like we have Mr. Philip who mentioned about this. He kind of surprised that we don't have it right now. And from Internet Society, it is concluded that for our strategy to build up the sustainable internet ecosystem, basically we have to take the multi-stakeholder approaches. All the stakeholders have to work together, and we have to create the appropriate forums for all people from all the sectors. And they might bring in the old way of they have to avoid thinking in the same box, not bring in the telecommunication style of working, but we have to think of the future, and we have to change, or else we will left behind, because the rate of change is very fast and everything keep changing while you are bringing things change. And the internet year is shorter than the actual year, and we have to really seriously think about it, and that's about it. And I think we have so many issues that we have to listen to the feedback and the response from our expert specialists who are here. And we will open for you also. And so I would like to, invite.
Basically sharing your opinions and viewpoints about the different challenges that they have presented to us. They will also be thinking about what are the next 2 or 3 steps, the next steps in actually addressing the bigger picture, not just looking at the specific challenges. So that will be the Thai side's homework while they are listening to your feedback. So your feedback is basically input into forming their next steps or actions. Okay, so we'll begin with Sophie Madden from Internet Society.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the very concise and very interesting summaries of all your panels, and for the very interesting discussions these last couple of days. I think yesterday when we had the introductory speeches and throughout the various panels and throughout these various summaries, we've heard how we see that the Internet can and should be a tool for economic and social development, and that came out in the final panel as well. So how Thailand develops the Internet will determine the economic and social development. What are some concrete actions, as Tip said? Let me just put a couple of ideas on the table. I think it would be very useful to have a roadmap for the future, and that roadmap, in terms of content, should have a balanced development program with the role of each stakeholder, how the role of each stakeholder can evolve. Also the type of specific activities and actions. Let me bring a couple of up that we also heard in the summaries of the panels. One of them I would suggest is education. How can you better integrate Internet technology, Internet choices and alternatives, options, for example, in engineering programs. But I would also add to that, how can you add education on the multi-stakeholder governance model in law and economics and business administration programs, because we all know, as we said, how much the Internet is part of our life, how much it's part of our textile, our tissue of life for SMEs, for industries. So the understanding of not only the technology but also the multi-stakeholder model, the governance model, is an important aspect to integrate in the education in the syllabus. I think it would also be interesting to have in that roadmap some suggestions to government. I've seen that government in particular recognizes the importance of the Internet, and to promote demand, one can also have fiscal and tax initiatives to integrate the internet and technologies in society, in industry and business, in society in general, so that one can enhance the benefits of the use of the internet to industry, and in particular to small and medium-sized enterprises. I think it's very important to underline in that roadmap that the internet really needs to be taken seriously by all stakeholders, including the policymakers. So is the internet part of your national interest? I think you have some examples of how that consciousness, how that awareness is there, including through your cabinet decision on IPv6. I think it's time to say, put your money where your mouth is. I'm sorry, I live in the United States now. Put your money where your mouth is. Let's really take this very seriously as a team of all stakeholders, and let's benefit from the internet. Let's use those tools that are available to us. Thank you, Tip.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Very succinct and very clear. Thank you very much. So next is Dr. Rohan. Your recommendations or viewpoints?
Thank you. When we talk about the internet, and we have terms like way forward, how can we advance, internet and the power to create, I think there is implicit in this the idea that the internet will make us better. And you know, you have all these macroeconomic correlations. This much of broadband growth will yield this much of economic development and so on. But one of the things that I didn't hear from all the comments today was not so much of an emphasis on the sort of the productive uses of the internet. As we say, I mean, does it put money in your pocket? For the last 6 years, we've been conducting surveys in the region, including in Thailand, where we've been asking the question, do information and communication technologies help you to save money, or does it help you to make money? That question. And we've been getting rather a whole spectrum of answers, where, for example, in Bangladesh, we got a lot of people sort of saying, yes, we do something at least once a day, once a week, which either saves us money or makes us money, to my own country, where people tended to think of it more as an entertainment medium, with about 50% of the sample saying we don't use it for any productive purpose at all. To a certain extent, that dichotomy is now present in our region, particularly with some of the more entertainment-oriented applications of internet. So my concrete suggestion to government and all the other stakeholders is, yes, people do want social media, they want to be entertained, they're willing to pay for it. That is natural, there's nothing wrong with being entertained, but do talk about, do put the possibilities of making money or saving money, making their lives, putting more money in your pocket rather than taking more money out, on the agenda, into the conversation, to balance the sort of entertainment-driven narrative that is emerging. So that is one, I would say, a silence in the summaries that I heard today that I was sort of struck by. The one exception, of course, was the last comment about applications, the need for the government to free up data with APIs, not as PDF that people cannot work with. Because there we have the possibility of young people, of entrepreneurs, getting the raw material, getting the abilities to innovate, to come up with new applications, new ways that people's lives can be simplified, new ways in which they can put more money in their pocket or save more money or do something sort of that improves the productivity of their lives. So I think that's something we need to latch on to. When I say content is king, I sort of am using a shorthand. I don't mean content in the sense of just like watching or entertainment like in the old days, but it's something more interactive and allowing for more productive engagement. So I think if we can get that issue on the agenda as a framing issue with all the stakeholders, including the government, I think it'll help us move forward the motto that we have, which is the power to create. Not the power to consume, but the power to create, and to make Thailand a leading force in the region. So that is sort of one framing issue that I would like to put before you. The other issue is, for all these things to be done, we will have lots and lots of people coming onto the network. There will be more people than we can imagine using the network, and there will be problems with congestion. If you think your internet is slow now, just wait. It'll slow down even further as more people come in, unless we address this problem by looking at the internet as a long chain where the speeds and the performance will be determined by the weakest link. And in each country and in each region, we'll have to identify what the weak links are, and we'll have to address them. If the internet experience and the productive or entertainment users of the internet are going to be satisfying to all of us and beneficial. So I would leave it perhaps with those 2 points. I have a few more, but I think in the interest of time, I'll leave you with these 2 points. Thank you.
Excellent, Dr. Rohan. And we'll move to Dr. Philip Smith from APNIC.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tip. Now, I'm coming to this very much from the infrastructure perspective. APNIC, of course, has been the regional registry for this part of the world for 20 years now. And apart from distributing the IP addresses that you are all using, whether you realize it or not, one of our core parts of our mission is the infrastructure development. And it's an interesting thing. If any of you came to the .th 25th anniversary 2 days ago, it's amazing how much Thailand has been doing, and for so long as well. And this has been 25 years we've seen active internet infrastructure activity in this country. It's one of the first countries in Asia. And then so I'm always interested by when the question that comes back, how can we make things better? There's so many things happening here, yet there's still so many more things that are possible. Now, I've been involved, 15, 20 years in actually helping build internet infrastructure in many parts of the Asia-Pacific region. And the key really to a successful internet economy for everybody, in the last 2 days we've been talking about all levels of the internet here in Thailand. But to have a successful internet economy, we need to have a successful and open internet infrastructure. You don't want to have restrictions on domestic traffic. None at all. Absolutely none. And at the moment, there are restrictions on domestic traffic, domestic internet performance. 2 weeks ago, we had the workshop looking at a neutral internet exchange point. Internet exchange points are the fundamental critical infrastructure that any successful internet economy must have. And so I would recommend that this is the most important attribute that you deal with. Once you have dealt with this, the other infrastructure follows. Domestic traffic becomes liberal, more people can connect, the internet gets faster, and as you start adding more people all the way from the rural parts of the country to the schools, the students and so forth, they will appreciate a fast internet rather than thinking, why did I get this computer? It doesn't work. So this is really what we need to think about. I talked yesterday about IPv6. I mean, I'm not here to market IPv6, but IPv4 basically is gone. Most of the internet service providers here have a choice. Do we try and make IPv4 last even longer and longer? Or do we actually go and adopt the v6 protocol? It's the same discussion in many countries around the world. If we're going to add every citizen, everybody onto the internet, not using computers as was pointed out in previous sessions, we're all using smart devices, multiples of smart devices. There's no way that the legacy IP addressing can do this. The only way really forwards is to look at a reasonable adoption of IPv6. And it was so timely just 3 days ago when the government announced their strategy. It's perfect timing for this event. So other recommendation is to follow that particular lead. Private enterprise can do it. The general citizens can do it, as well as the public infrastructure. And that's really the two ways forward, after hearing all the discussion for the last 2 days, that I would recommend the local industry.
Thank you very much, Dr. Philip Smith. And the next speaker is Mr. Rajneet Singh from the Asia Pacific Regional Bureau of Internet Society.
Thanks. So I'm not going to make any recommendations. I think we've had quite a few from our esteemed panelists here, and I don't want it to be recommendation overload. It was interesting in session summaries. I think there were some interesting points made there. And as those comments were being made, I started thinking about what's coming ahead for this region. Now, close to home, so home being the ASEAN region, the Southeast Asian nations, we have the ASEAN integration kicking in 2015. A lot of companies, organizations from outside the region are looking at that as a great opportunity. Why? You have one, hopefully, integrated economic region, which will be worth something around the vicinity of $2 trillion. So that's a fairly big chunk of the world economy. For the ASEAN integration to work as its vision to work, it will rely on a few very important things, and most of those few important things, apart from the legal framework around them, will actually depend on IT and more so on the internet itself. How do you integrate 10 economies together in the region? How do you exchange financial data, financial information, citizen information? How do you ensure labor mobility? Labor mobility is a big part of the ASEAN integration thing. What we have in the Southeast Asian countries are great disparities, as I think one of my panelists mentioned. There's great disparity between countries here. Thailand, Singapore are two examples. Myanmar, where I was this past week, is another example. There's great disparity between infrastructure, what's available, the legal frameworks that exist, the level of sophistication, the level of complexities in networks and systems, how they're integrated together. If we don't get things right within a country, we actually risk the ASEAN integration framework itself to fail. Why? Because if a country internally doesn't have the systems in place, how are you going to connect to another country and then to another country and 8 others? And how are you going to function as one large economic group? You can't. The only thing that will bind you together are information technology systems, and those IT systems will depend on the internet, because that's how we connect. So, I would say that we need to expend some greater efforts to ensure that the ASEAN integration works as the way it's envisioned to work. And it starts at home. We need to fix internal systems first before we start integrating across the region. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Raj. That's well put. And yes, I think it's on everyone's mind right now, the ASEAN integration. It's not even around the corner. It's just 2 years. Well, less than 2 years, well, if you think about the actual date itself. So I will now turn back to the Thai side. And if we can have I don't know, Dr. Pasakon, do you want one person to speak, maybe to kind of form the position of Thailand?
I want the floor for those who have some issues. We don't have much time, but maybe you cannot sleep if you don't talk today. So for those moderators might want to propose some idea that slip their mind. Please introduce yourself. I am Apichat. I want to leave the notes. Can you translate about in 5 years? Yeah, we have the interpreter. We'll have a iClass computer in the future. So about contents will be in there, will be mobile broadcast station. So we have to be prepared for that.